In the backyard and garage, workflow is categorized by two separate yet equally important groups: vegetation control and organization. These are their stories. Hi everybody, Gary Williams here for Toolbarn.com's Barn Banter, and today's topic is lawn and order. Yeah, lawn and order, I like that. And the reason we're calling it that is because we're going to show you some nice things that you can do to keep your lawn in good shape and also to get your garage in order, and who doesn't need a few tips to do that? I could use more than one or two myself. So, first we're going to show you some really cool organizers, and we're going to make a case for these handy cases because they're a great way to store those little nuts and bolts and small tools and all those little things that, you know, you've got them in your garage, but when it comes time to use them, you can't find them, so you always run to the hardware store and buy more. If you have these, you don't have to do that. It'll save you a lot of time, trust me. Then we'll inspect some great chainsaws and mulchers. Now this is a really nice electric chainsaw from Makita. Enough power for those cleanup jobs in your backyard, trimming, you know, cutting limbs, brush, whatever, bushes, whatever you need to do with it. This will do the job, and we've got a few of these to show you. And finally, we'll show you some clever tricks to use when you're trying to get your garage organized. And wouldn't that be great to have a nice organized garage, a garage that even Hank Hill would be proud of? Sure it would. So stick with us, we'll show you more. Chances are, if you are a real lawn ranger, you've got more in your backyard than just grass. And that means you maybe have some ornamental bushes or shrubs. You've got some trees back there, either big or small. You've got things that you've got to do trim-wise to trim some of those woody plants down. And you can either do it with a handsaw, which is a real pain in the neck, or you can get yourself an electric chainsaw like this one from Makita. Now, the nice thing about this is it's lightweight. It's about 9.5 pounds. It's got a blade that's about 12 inches long, which is really adequate to cut most of the things you'll want to cut. I mean, you're not going to cut down a giant redwood with these things, but you shouldn't do that anyway. I think that's illegal, and we don't have any in this part of the country. Anyway, these are great for trimming a lot of the smaller a lot of the smaller plants and trees and things that you've got in your backyard that you need to clean up. So, plenty of power, 5,500 feet per minute on the chain. I don't think my car will go that fast, but it's a real handy thing to have around in your backyard. And we've got a variety of these things. We've got this one from Works. Now this one's got a 16-inch blade, so it'll handle bigger jobs. It's not that much heavier. This one, the Makita, is 9.5 pounds. This one is 11 pounds. So easy to use, easy to work with when you're trying to take care of those jobs in the backyard or front yard or side yard. The nice thing about both of these is they're electric powered. So you put a little lubricating oil for the chain in the reservoir here on these tools, but you don't have to put gasoline or mix oil with that gasoline like you do with a lot of two-stroke engines. So they're convenient, they're quick setup, they're easy to use, they help you get the work done fast and neat and nice and clean, and they're just handy to have around, and we've got a lot of these things at Toolbarn.com, so check them out. If you've got a lot of trees in your yard, and I've got a few myself, if you do, your favorite time of year is probably fall, because that's when all the leaves fall off those trees and land on your grass, and you've got to do something with them, right? Well look, here's a good solution for you. This is the Works mulcher, and I'll tell you the nice thing about this thing is you can use this thing to reduce the volume of leaves that you have to collect either by mowing and raking them up or whatever you're doing. You can put those leaves in here and mulch them down into a lot less volume, and you can use that as mulch for garden plots or flower beds or those kinds of things. If nothing else, you just reduce the overall volume so that what you have to dispose of and what goes into a landfill is a lot less than what you're just picking up from the ground. So the Works mulcher, it's really a pretty great tool. I'm not sorry right now that we don't have a bunch of leaves on the ground that we can show you how this thing works, but we do have some video to show you that'll give you a good idea. One of the nice things about this is that inside of this device is a heavy-duty lawn string trimmer type string. You know, it doesn't use metal blades, so it's safer in that respect, and it still does a great job of chewing up those leaves and compacting the volume and giving you some usable mulch if that's what you're after. So It's kind of another nice little fall cleanup tool that you can use and help keep the yard looking good. Invariably, here's what I do when I'm starting a project or I've got a project underway at home. I know that I have everything I need down in my garage. I also know that finding everything I need in my garage is going to be something of a challenge depending upon what it is. If it's nuts and bolts and washers or nails or screws or those kind of things, I know they're down there. I just am not absolutely positive of where they are down there, which is my fault. I know I've got to get better organized, and I'm getting better at it bit by bit. But I'm going to give you an idea or a couple ideas of what you can do to get well organized and to cut a lot of the searching process out of your projects. I'm going to show you some cases here. These are great organizational and storage cases. Now this one is from Milwaukee. And take a look at this thing. It's got bins for it's got 8 smaller bins, and you can put, you know, whatever you want in there, nuts and bolts and screws or whatever. It's got a couple of larger ones for screwdrivers or pliers or, you know, small hand tools that are really convenient to carry around with you. And the nice part about this is you not only know what's in here, but if you do have to grab this and go somewhere, you know, a neighbor needs help or you've got to go somewhere on the job, you close it up, you take it all with you, and you're in business. That's from Milwaukee. We've got one from Bosch, the same idea. A lot of compartments, different sizes. They'll hold all different kinds of stuff in there. And again, it's just really a convenience. And it's great to know when you're looking for something and you know you're going to be looking for something, you know where it is and where to find it. If you've got it in a case like this, a lot easier to look for a needle in here than a needle in a haystack. So these things are great. They'll help you keep organized in your garage. They'll help you keep organized in your work life and whatever you're doing. So we've got a lot of these things at toolbarn.com. I suggest you check them out. Getting organized doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be real difficult. It just has to be done. And it's really important that you do that for your own peace of mind and for your own efficiency when you're working at home or on the job, obviously. But we're going to show you a few things that'll make that process a lot easier. And one of the simplest that we can start off with, I think, is a wood pallet workbench. Now, look at this thing. This is just a basic pallet, and you can find these things. A lot of places will let you take them. Ask before you do. But you know, stock and different stuff comes into stores on these things, and they toss them out a lot of times out in back of the place, and they're just going to have them hauled away, so they'll let you take them. Before they get them hauled away, though, ask if you can have them, and you can make things, for example, like this basic workbench. Now, this is not fancy, it's not highly finished, but it's a great work surface. You can set power tools on these things. You can set, you know, compound miter saws, all kinds of things on top of these boards. Just a lot of equipment, a lot of tools, a lot of materials, and it's just a good working surface. You don't have to worry about messing it up because you haven't sanded it down and finished it to a high gloss or any of that kind of thing. It's just a nice functional surface. Hey, I hold in my hand some of the most important tools you'll have when you're working on just about any kind of a project. Pens and or pencils, right? Okay, now here's my problem with pens and pencils. You need them all the time. But you take one and you draw a line, you know, on a board or whatever you're working on, and you set it down and you turn your back, and when you turn back to grab that pencil, it has disappeared somewhere. So you grab another one. That's why you've got this many of them. You grab another one, you draw your line, you set it down, you turn your back to do something, and when you turn back to grab that pencil, it's gone too. It's almost like the pencil gremlins are in the garage or your work area helping you out by stealing all these things, right? So how do you combat that? Well, this is so simple, it's stupid, right? But basically, excuse me, basically you get yourself a tin can, drill a hole in the side of it. I know, pretty amazing high technology stuff. And it doesn't have to be, you know, a real fancy tin can. It can be an empty vegetable can. Take a hook in it, take a hook that, you know, fits into a pegboard, put that through the hole you've drilled, pick up your pens and pencils, drop them in the tin can, and I'll tell you what, you've got just a very handy pen and pencil holder that you can hang on your pegboard, and by gosh, they're all right there at your fingertips whenever you need them. One thing when you're working on a project that is easy to misplace, or at least to set aside somewhere, is a screwdriver, you know. And It's nice to have a variety of screwdrivers, and it's nice to keep them handy, and one way to do that is simply to make a very easy screwdriver holder. And I'll tell you, there's really nothing to this. Take a piece of board, and it doesn't have to be a 2x4, it can be any piece of scrap wood you've got, and drill a couple of holes in there of the appropriate size. I'm only going to put a couple in this thing, but you've got a nice simple place to stash your screwdrivers, and you know, it's really handy that way. And now when you look at this, you look down, you can't really tell what kind of screwdriver it is, whether it's a flathead or whether it's a Phillips or whatever, but you can get around that real simply too. These happen to both be Phillips screwdrivers. Just take a marker or a pencil or whatever you want and just indicate on the appropriate slot what it is, whether it's a flathead or a Phillips screwdriver or just whatever it is. You always know what you've got. It's easy to find, they're easy to get to, and you can do anything. You can make a little portable totes where you can carry your screwdrivers around like this, and obviously you can attach them to your workbench. Any number of things. Again, very low cost, very easy to do, and a pretty efficient way to keep things organized in your garage. Here's just a very simple idea. You just take a magnet, and it doesn't have to be one that you make and magnetize yourself. You can buy these things at different places, you know. But a magnet board, hanging on a shelf or on a wall or wherever, and just put your stuff up there like so. It's a great way to keep these things in sight. You know exactly what you've got, you know exactly what you're working with. You know, you can do it temporarily, just the things that you've got that you're working with right at the particular time, stick them on a magnet board like that, or you can store them there for as long as you want, as long as you know where they are, and as long as you know where to go to get them when you need them. So again, just a very inexpensive and simple way to stay organized in the garage and get your work done more efficiently and faster. Now, while we're talking about repurposing things, I want to just mention that you may have some older tools in your work area that don't work anymore. They're old, they're past their time, and they broke, and you just replaced them instead of fixing them. Well, I want to encourage you, if that's the case, to take inventory of what you've got. Take a look at toolpartsdirect.com. There are thousands of schematics and thousands of parts, and you may just find what you need to get those tools working again. And where you could really do some good with those things is take a look at them, and you may find that you get them operating again, and you can donate those to any number of organizations. Depending upon where you are, Goodwill takes some, Habitat Restore will take some of those tools. A lot of organizations in your area might just love to have tools like that. So there are a lot of great causes out there, a lot of organizations that can use tools for different things that they're doing. So check it out. Don't waste things, put them back to use if you can, and it's just a good way to do life and to do business. So we've shown you a little bit about lawn and order. I hope you find some of those tips are very useful, and at this point all I can say is hop to it, get back to work. And we'll see you next time, okay? Thanks.